See it? There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion TV with our new guest this evening, Chris Westbrook. Don't forget, of course, you're listening to the Aaron's Opinion podcast, and don't forget to comment below right here on YouTube. I'll get to your comments after the show, but please know that all comments that you send in, all productive, great comments, are definitely going to get an answer from me. So, welcome everyone over there in the live chat. All right then. We just need one more thing here. We just need our stopwatch here to keep track of our time. Page 2 of 4. Page. Clock. 1946. Tab bar. Timer. Selected. Timer. Tab. 4 of 4. 1 hour. 0 minutes. Pick item. 160. By the way, excuse me, guys. The pollen where I live right now is horrible. So there's a tremendous amount of pollen in the air tonight. Sorry about that, by the way.
Yeah, that's all right.
Voiceover off. Do not disturb on.
Do not disturb is already turned on.
That's helpful. So let's get the podcast started here on the audio right here. And for the audio on the podcast, hello everyone, you're listening to Aaron's Opinion. Welcome back everyone to Aaron's Opinion with our new guest this evening, Chris Westbrook. So as I say, you have an hour to basically educate the world and answer one question. And I really want to dig into engineering and accessibility, and I really want to philosophize with you, man. So let's I'm not going to let anything escape. I'm going to let you tell everything you want to tell by me asking and by me saying, who is Chris Westbrook? You can take the conversation now.
All right. Well, I've been blind all my life. I've had hearing loss all my life. I have been involved in my church for a number of years. I've been a Christian for a number of years. See, what else about me? I'm an accessibility engineer, which sounds more technical than it is. I don't really have an engineering background per se, although I guess it's what some would consider software development, software engineering. I have a programming background. I was a programmer for 14 years before I became an accessibility engineer. But basically, I test websites for accessibility. I work for a company called Alliant, and we do website testing, we do PDF document remediation, and we do Braille transcription and document creation, like for banks and things like that. Braille statements and things like that. See what else? I use a cochlear implant, which is kind of a big deal. I got that as an adult, so that was a adventure. And that's about it.
Excellent. Well, trust me, you're on my show. That's not about it. That's just that's not about it. that's about where it starts. Okay, so
Yeah,
a lot
right.
of times, one of the things, Chris, that I've learned about being a content creator and having the privilege and honor of having a show like this is I've come to learn, even though I'm 31, that there are a lot of people that really do not fully understand the extent of how we as the blind function successfully in society. Okay? So you were using a lot of vocab. You were using the word engineering, programming, accessibility, software. So let's really break down, shake up the ingredients, man. Let's shake up the recipe and really dig in to exactly, so what do all of those things mean? You were saying how you really do a lot of work with programming. You started in programming, then transitioned to accessibility. So first of all, what is programming really? What does programming really mean? Okay. Then the next question is, So then, what do programming engineers do, right? And then,
Hmm.
what is accessibility from a blindness perspective? And how does accessibility relate to all of that? So, really shake it up for us here. Really break down all the terms and really plug yourself into how, what it all means to someone who has no idea what we're talking about. How would you educate them about all of it?
Well, programming is basically telling the computer to do what you want it to do.
Good.
Um,
Okay.
in a broad, kind of generalization, that's basically what you're doing.
Hmm.
Um, and so I studied that in college. I went to college. I went to two different colleges actually, and that's a whole other topic. I went to college for 2 years and then transferred to another university. Um, Graduated with a degree in IT with a concentration in programming. Um, so programming engineers, at least what I did was I took business problems and tried to put them into computer code so that the computer would do what the business wanted the computer to do. I created a lot of reports. I created an intranet that I created an intranet that's still used today, actually, by the advertising agency where I used to work at. Um, so, and I worked there for like 14 years, and then I just decided I wanted to move on and do something else. So then I found this job opportunity for an accessibility engineer, and they wanted somebody with some development background, some programming background, to help out with their accessibility testing. Because if you have programming background, you can better solve problems with websites and things like that. It's not a requirement, but it definitely helps. Um, so that's when I got this job, and I've been doing this job for like 2 years now, and I really like it. So what I do now is we have a system at Alliant called the Hub. It's a internet again. It's that somebody else built. And I basically go in and see what's wrong with the site and create issues, and then actually my job is to test it after other people have created the issues. I mean, I've done some what they call auditing, which is basically when you create the issues for the site and then we submit a report to our clients and then they come back and tell us which ones they fixed. And now I'm on what's called the QA side, which means um, I go and fix or not fix. I go and test to see if the issues are fixed, and then I tell them whether they're fixed or not and what they need to do to fix them. So that's kind of cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then for those who don't know, what does engineering mean to you?
Um, yeah, that's a good question.
Because people need, the reason why I'm asking you to break down the vocab is that people who do not know what these things mean
Mhm.
will never be able to appreciate how great of a worker and great of a person you are to the company unless you explain to someone who doesn't know what it means. That's the problem. So that's why I'm
Yeah,
asking these rhetorical questions. Well, what is engineering, right?
right.
And then here to help you, I'm going to ask something else. I'm going to say, then what is accessibility? That's a better
Oh
one. What
boy.
is accessibility? Let's philosophize. What do you
Hmm.
think it means?
I think accessibility means making the world, in this case, the web world, my specialty, I guess you could say, so that blind people can use it. So that means describing images, that means labeling form fields, that means providing extra instructions when needed sometimes if content is very complicated and complex. Um, that means, making sure images are labeled, all kinds of things like that that are key to making a blind person. And it also means, by the way, making sure that the contrast color contrast is correct. I can't test that, but we have sighted people that test that part. Um, because I'm completely blind. So,
Right. Sure. Sure. Sure.
I
Sure.
can't test I can't test the that part, but we have sighted people that take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Right. Right.
so that part is covered. and we try to cover as many disabilities as we can
Hmm.
in our testing. So it's not just
Okay.
blind people,
Right.
you know.
So when we talk about accessibility, and perhaps even I am guilty of this for a second, but then you corrected me. It's important to think that accessibility doesn't necessarily just mean blindness, right? It can mean a lot of things. So, what are some other disability groups or some other groups of people that are positively impacted by your work in accessibility engineering? In other words, what
Hmm.
other types of accessibility are out there? Specifically, what accessibility is out there that me as a blind guy would never even understand or think of? What do you think?
Well, the one that comes to my mind right away is speech recognition software.
Okay, what is that, by
Um,
the way?
Dragon is a
Right.
software that allows you to basically control the computer with your voice only
Mm-hmm.
for people
Okay.
that cannot use a keyboard. Now, I can use a keyboard. Most blind people can use a keyboard, but there's people out there that are paralyzed or whatever that can't use a keyboard. And labeling form fields correctly provides Dragon with the names of the fields that it needs to say, type in, the first name field, so and so, such and such. Um, so, that's an issue. Certain flashing lights can be a problem for people with certain seizure disorders. They can trigger a seizure. Um, Forget exactly what the name of the disorder is, but it's like photosensitivity or something like
Yes,
that.
yes,
Where,
sounds right. Yes, maybe.
hmm yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, blindness is a lot of it. I will say that, but there are definitely other disability. Captioning for the deaf,
Right.
closed captioning. We try to make sure our videos are have closed captions on them.
Yeah.
Um,
And how does and by the way, so how do closed captions work? How does that involve someone like you sitting down and actually typing into a system what words you want the software to actually print, as we would say on the screen here for the sighted person? How does or the deaf person, how does closed captioning work when it's actually
there is
engineered?
automated closed captioning, but it's not very accurate. So yes, a lot of it is manual.
Right, right. For instance,
Manual.
someone that's watching Aaron's opinion. Now, I don't know this to be true, but maybe you at home who's watching us live, maybe someone could actually turn on closed captioning sometimes automatically. Sometimes YouTube allows it automatically, and sometimes not. It just depends.
Hmm.
Yeah. Right. Right. And then how do you improve the accuracy of closed captioning? Just by typing, or how does by doing it manually, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not an expert in how all that works, but yeah, I think most of the time we encourage people to have people, especially on a video that's not a live video like what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of companies have like product demonstration videos or different things like that, where they could very easily close caption because they're only a couple minutes long. In a lot of cases, they're not you know hour long things like what we're doing.
Right, 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 right. Yes,
you
that's
know.
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, good, 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 good. So you talked a lot about solving problems for businesses using your skills as an engineer to solve business problems. So what are some ongoing problems that are very visible to you? And then my follow up question is going to be something to the effect of what can you speak on regarding to the futuristic problems that you see? We're seeing a lot of debates right now about the role of artificial intelligence, right? Various bots, various chat bots, various
Hmm.
problems. Um, it's extremely well known, okay, that there are many debates, should I say, debates going on right now in the around the YouTube community. Okay,
Hmm.
one of the debates, and I'm using the word debates very gently. We got to be careful now that we're on TV here. But one of the
Right.
debates that has come to my mind because I watch a creator who mentioned it, and I'm not surprised by it, is the basically this whole well, surely as a creator too, what a strike against a channel is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you already knew this, but there has been a rampant a rampant rampage of basically uh, how do I even explain it? Like like false. How do I phrase it? False strikes are like
Right.
not. What's Chris? What's the word that I'm looking for? Like intentionally,
Trying to
intentionally.
defame the creator by getting them off of YouTube, basically.
Right. Okay.
Hmm.
Intentional defamatory strike, meaning that one creator knows that the other creator is doing fine, but they still want to give like execute like a fake strike.
Hmm.
What, if any? Because I've heard about it a lot. What's your like philosophy about that when you really intellectualize that as an engineer? And what do we need to do to, make the situation right for all creators? Just from your perspective, what do you think?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. As far as a lot of the problems that I would solve, like it was a lot of it was collecting data, about different things, like creative orders, for example, that our creative department needed to make orders to fulfill their advertising, to fulfill our clients' media spots and different things. And so I had to make a system that people could put in the orders they wanted, and then our creative department would go ahead and create them. Um, so different problems like that around advertising and different things like that. As far as the AI stuff, unfortunately, well, fortunately or unfortunately, that cat's not going back in the bag. There's no way that I mean, this is going to happen.
Hmm.
Um, there's no way to stop it now.
Sure
Um,
there is. I'm so glad. This is why I love being a YouTuber and podcaster, because we can have these philosophical debates. I completely disagree with you, and I'm going to tell you why.
hmm,
Companies around the world, they can do something very old fashioned. They can hire something called a human being, a
right,
Homo sapien sapien, to be paid from 9 in the morning until 5 at night to sit in front of a desk and manually go through all of the silly fake things until eventually we as the humans take it over and determine what is real and not,
oh
and then
yeah, yeah.
and then
I don't think
justify
that
it that way.
like, yeah, I don't think that like AI is ever going to be like more intelligent than we are. Like that's just stupid. But
No. That's not what I meant. What I meant is that
hmm,
we as people need to hold ourselves accountable and need to
hmm,
pay people to actually sit there and manually go through these things. Whether you're on YouTube, Google, Facebook, wherever, wherever the fake information or the wrongful strike or the misunderstandings go, we need to
right,
spend more time as people making these things right and figuring out the truth, because you know what, creators like you and I and so many other wonderful people around the blindness community and sighted community or deaf community or around
right,
all of our communities, we only deserve the truth. And by not fixing the situation, in my estimation, we're definitely doing ourselves a tremendous disservice, and
right.
it's
Yeah.
very disheartening. At least I think. But what is the? I guess my question is: so, what is the reality on actually using people to actually fix these AI problems? Like, how does that really manifest?
Oh boy. The problem is it's not really a problem, but it's hard to do it at scale. You just keep hiring more people and more people and more people. Um, I don't know what the answer is going to be, really. It's going to be interesting to see how all this stuff shakes out.
Yeah,
And, and I think maybe, I mean, even in colleges now, they're talking about chat GPT and how that
yeah.
relates to writing papers. And
Funny you mentioned that. I was just at a doctor's appointment a week ago, and my doctor was telling me. She said, Aaron, do you know that the Chat GPT thing you just mentioned, Chris? She says, do you know that that thing just passed the MLE? I said, no, I didn't know that. But then if that thing just passed the MLE, then what? You know? So
yeah,
yeah, what's your opinion about that chat bot? And by the way, what is your opinion? How do bots really work? By the way, what is the and not only how do they work, Chris, but how should we use bots? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, how should we use them? We should use them to like supplement our talents and to like do things that are repetitive, just like how we should use computers. We should use computers to like do a bunch of repetitive stuff that we hate doing. Um, you know, one of the things that we would try to do, and we didn't always succeed, but we would try to make it so that, users would only have to put in information once instead of like 5 times into 5 different systems and stuff like that. You know, we should use it to try to maximize our human capital, um, and not to like destroy ourselves or, destroy people. But there are probably going to be some jobs that are going to be, destroyed by chat GPT and other things like that. But hopefully there'll be other jobs that'll be created and people can take advantage of that. And just like, who would have thought 5 years ago that like Uber and Instacart and all that stuff is like such a big deal now. People are doing that full time. Some people are, not everybody, but um, I mean, it's amazing. Even in my little town of Williamsport here, well, I guess it's not a little town, but it's not a huge city either. Um, we have Uber and Instacart and ShipT and all these different services where people can make, mostly obviously sighted people, unfortunately, can make a living, or at least some extra income, you know, by doing that. And I just think it's really interesting. I just think it's going to be interesting to see how all of this stuff, what our society is going to look like in 20 years or 30 years or 50 years.
Well, let's
Once,
not let's not have. I'm glad that you're ambitious about 50 years from now. I don't know if we'll make it that far. At the rate we're going, I don't know. At some point, I'm going to have to just tie my calendar off and say, okay, that's it. That's the last day I'm doing for you. Okay, that's if we get all the way past that, you know what? Then you might have to call me out of retirement, and I might come talk to you again. But you know what? Let's worry. 50 years. You are an optimist, man. Let me help you. Let me give you a dose of negativity and depression and sadness and pessimism. Okay, let's go. Come on, you know what work when they say like raise the bar. No. Let's just lower the bar. Okay. The chance of us as a society making it another 50 years, human beings will self-destruct. I'm convinced that we will self-destruct within the next 50 years, and the AI can do what they want at that point. But I'm not counting on people lasting another 50 years with the rate that our society is going. But then here's an interesting comment that I want to unfold. So you say that we're supposed to be using, AI and bots, to supplement, right? To supplement our work and income and our workflow, right, in the
Mhm.
IT space. So then I would counteract that argument then by saying, well then Chris, what can supplement a podcaster? What is the supplement? And you're right, you are correct in saying so. But then what is the supplement of a podcaster? What's the supplement of a newscast? Certain things, how do you supplement everything? What do you really think?
Yeah, that's a good question. I just think that we as people aren't gonna be so. I guess I have faith in like humanity that we're not gonna just let everything be done by a bot, and we will need people to do some of this stuff. I mean, we can't be totally run by the machines. We will.
Yeah.
I do think we will need people, you know, to do, but I think these bots can help us. I mean, I'm really interested to see what the new Bing is like when it comes out. I haven't had access to it yet. Um, Microsoft has put like a chat feature into its search now, and I'm really interested to see how that works out. But um, yeah, I just think that this stuff can help us. I mean, I was listening to Jonathan Mosen. I don't know if you listen to him at all, but
Absolutely, another great friend in the community.
mhm.
I've never had the honor to interview him, but I want you to know, Jonathan, you are forever welcome in my community here on Aaron's Opinion TV. There you go. Why are you are you friends with him? Can you make some deals for me to get him on the show? Why?
No, I'm not,
Oh,
unfortunately.
you're just one of those people that just listens. Oh, okay. Well, what good is that then?
I
Okay.
just like to name drop, you know.
So you just like to name drop without any intention of actually helping me. Just throw in the name. I love it. I love it, man. I love it. Okay, but of course, in honor of a fellow, another great person, another wonderful podcaster. So what did you learn from Jonathan Mosen, and what did he say? And because he has a lot of great stuff. Tell
Well,
us.
he was talking about the 11 Labs company that's doing the AI voices, and he played a clip of that, and it was absolutely stunning what it was able to do with people's voice, you know, with their own voice, and with his wife's voice, and even his voice wasn't half bad. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but he still made the content, you know, but the AI was able to read it to him, you know, read it to us, and I don't know. I just think that there's going to be niches for people that can. And I know we have a lot of problems, like in the blind community. Education is a huge problem, you know,
Huge.
and all that. And I get that. I was one of the really fortunate ones. I went to public school, and then
Me
I
too.
went to college, and I'm working now, you know, and I've been able to educate myself while I'm working and stuff. And I had some really good people to help mentor me and stuff like that. My boss was actually another blind guy, which is really cool. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, and I look at somebody like the woman you had on from Iran, you know, and
Cool. Cool. Thank you for listening. You know, and I really, man, you know what I noticed? I noticed something about you yesterday when you posted in, you know, NOPBC. I thought you were really plugged in. I thought you were really like into this and just really on the right track. And I was right. You absolutely are, Chris. You're doing magnificent job with everything you're doing. But
hmm
what now? Now, what did you specifically learn from Mina from Iran? She had a really interesting perspective. What do you think?
yeah, I just you know the issues that she has in her country are just things that I wouldn't even you know that we take for granted. I mean, for us, you know, getting an iPhone is a stretch for some people. I get it, but you know, for a lot of people in the blind community, they can do it somehow. They can get either some sort of program to get it, or they can afford it themselves, or they can buy a used one for pretty cheap. You know, for her, like that's not really an option. You know,
Right, right.
and just and even like the whole human. You know, she said about her the whole um, abuse thing that she was talking about. I mean, that's just like
Mm-hmm.
wow. You know,
Yeah.
like and she didn't spend a whole lot of time on it. And I understand why. You know, that's probably traumatic for her to talk about. But
Right,
um,
right.
you know, it's just. I mean, we don't know how bad we have it until we
Yeah.
hear from other people. You know, and some
Right.
people would say, "Oh, wow, this guy tried to cook with an implant." Like that's for those of you who don't know, that's usually kind of like the last resort for people that have really bad hearing loss. And I have it in one of my ears. Some people have it in both ears, but I only have it in one. We're hearing it in the other one. Some people would say, "Oh, wow, that's horrible," but you know, I'm just glad I have it. You know, and I'm glad I have the hearing that I have now, and it's helped me out a ton. You know, just to get that hearing back in that ear, and I don't know, just keeping a good perspective is so important. I think
Sure.
keeping that
Absolutely.
perspective of gratitude and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and trying to put, and that's something that I need to work on, and something that I work on, and something
hmm
that I will always work on because it can be hard until you hear from other people, until you hear from others, right? It can be hard to put things into perspective, and I totally get it. You know, the more you spend time here at Aaron's Opinion, and of course, in just a few minutes later tonight, when you get added to the WhatsApp group for the guests, you know, you'll be connected with all sorts of people from all the continents, and some of them come from very developing nations where their lives are significantly, where there is a significant challenge. Or in many cases, they live in countries where it's, quite frankly, such a bad country and such a hard life that everybody suffers, whether you're blind or not. You know,
Oh, right.
you know.
Yeah.
So I don't think. I mean, yes, back to Iran and Mina. Yes, she mentioned a lot of struggles, and they were true. She mentioned a lot of abuse. That is true and horrible. But everybody struggles in Iran, and everybody is abused in Iran a little bit. You know, that's that country. That is a very
Yeah.
nowadays. It's a very challenging. It's a very hard life in that country now. It wasn't always like
Yeah.
that, by the way, but now that it is like that in that country. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, or
Right.
we have another great friend here on the podcast, another great buddy, Radwan Mednini from Tunisia. By the way, I'm a French speaker. Je parle français. Bonsoir. So a lot of times, you know, I meet people from other countries here, and I've even recorded a couple of French language episodes here on Aaron's Opinion. But yeah, Tunisia is another country where it's very hard for people with disabilities, and Tunisia is a country where it's hard for able-bodied people. So it's hard for everyone in many
Yeah.
cases. The
Right.
the point of consistency that I noticed, though, is that in a lot of these other countries, the lack of knowledge is insurmountable, and the tremendous lack of services and products and accessibility to the things that we would hold near and dear and granted, you know, those types of things are very, very, very inaccessible to many people in those countries. In a lot of the continents, yeah, it's quite a big problem, and it's more severe than I'm even aware. So,
Oh, sure.
so
Yeah, because you're just getting probably the richer people that can afford to, you know, have a phone or have a computer with a WhatsApp thing or whatever, you know.
right,
I'm sure
right.
for every one of those, there's like 500 people that can't. So, you know,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing that holds people back too, when you in these countries, if you have a disability, is the gross corruption. You know, Tunisia. Speaking of corrupt, Tunisia right now is a grossly corrupt country where their people are so corrupted that they're just held back by the corruption. You know, it's a big, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, but I mean, it is a beautiful country. I would love to go. I would go there. I mean, I would meet this guy that I know there. I would go, but you know, it's very challenging. But anyway, back to you, Chris. You know, I'm really quite impressed because you came to YouTube last night only for 11 minutes. That's fine, and you just wanted to introduce yourself. So really, you know, what pushed you over the edge? What tipped you over and really motivated you to have the courage to live stream and to connect and speak up for the whole world like this? Because you do it well. What tipped you over?
Well, you know, I guess I realized I have a lot of time. You know, I'm not married. I'm not. I don't have. I live by myself. You know, and I work, and you know, when I'm done working, I have, you know, church things that I do on some nights of the week. But I have a lot of, you know, free time, and I just felt like I wanted to try to give back. You know, to those that really need, that really could use some help. You know, and we'll see what happens. You know, but yeah, I didn't quite know what I was going to do last night. I just sort of came on and introduced myself, and tonight I uploaded the video on just like using the iPhone and just like swiping around and going through some of the different settings and things like that.
Yeah, getting
You know,
comfortable using YouTube Studio and to understand the analytics and how it performed, and you know, and the thing that you're going to have to be is patient, and then after you're patient, you're going to have to be patient. It is
Right.
a brutally slow process. And one of the challenges right now that I see with YouTube and Spotify and all the content creation is right now, this is a wave of mass production. So almost everybody is, you know, struggling for the next sub, the next like, the next share. Everybody's doing it right now. So there's a big wave. You know, I think that as more and more people, get back into the swing of things, get back into work or change jobs or things, I think that we will see, more opportunity, or maybe less. I don't know. It's hard to
Hmm.
know, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's just, you just have a lot of confidence. And I'm glad that YouTube allowed you to live stream, given, that you only, well, now that you're talking to me, you'll have a lot more subs, but you only had about 67 subscribers to start off with, and
Right. Yeah.
it's a slow and it's a big hill to climb. And then the problem is, then the more subs you have, then the more chances are that someone won't like you. That's another
Oh, sure.
secret. That's another bad thing, that you don't necessarily want a lot of subscribers. What you want is to find the right subscribers that actually care about you. So
Yeah.
that's the trick.
Right.
But so now you're dabbling in YouTube, which means that basically it's a podcast. So have you thought about podcasting, to, specifically speaking, to educate the public about these things that you're knowledgeable of? But also, have you thought about, creating a course to teach blind people how to do coding and programming?
Yeah. I have thought about that a little bit. I'd have to think about how I want to do that, but I've thought about it somewhat. Um, not enough to actually do it yet, but it's sort of germinated in my mind a little bit.
Right, right. Yeah. So I mean, what do you think? How easy is it for someone to learn, the skills of programming and things like that? Is it something, you see these ads all the time on social media about, programming boot camp, or read this, you can teach yourself, the skills. Can you really teach yourself how to program, or no? Like, how does it really work?
You can, but I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, unless you're really, really disciplined and really, really willing to put in a lot of time, I would recommend going to a college, going to a university. If you can't afford that, there are programming schools. I don't know how accessible they are. I haven't looked into any of them because I got my degree before that all happened. And so that is an option, but I would recommend, especially as a blind person, I think, um, getting some help. I mean, if you have somebody in the programming field that's willing to teach you, that's good too. But I've learned a lot on my own. But those first couple of languages I was taught, by professors and teachers and things like that. So once you learn how to program, you can teach yourself after that. But teaching yourself from scratch is hard.
Right, right. So,
You
one
know.
of my interests, because I'm an English teacher, I'm an educator, so I'm also, and as a French speaker, as someone who learned a foreign language, and now I speak French well. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm really fascinated by language acquisition. So, when you talk about a programming language, why do we use the word language after the word programming? And are programming languages really relatable to learning a foreign language? What are programming languages?
Some programming languages are more foreign than others, but they all use English word. I mean, it's not that part of it is not calling it a language is maybe a little bit deceiving. It's not a totally different language. You're still using English words and stuff. I don't know if they translate the programming in the different languages or not. I would assume they would, but um, anyway, but it takes a different mindset. You have to really think logically. You have to really think um, mathematically almost, because the computer will do exactly what you say, and sometimes what you say and what you mean are two different things.
Can you try to, I know it might be hard to express, but can you try to express an example of what you mean by, just because you tell the computer to do as I say, it doesn't mean it'll do as you tell it to do. Can you kind of create an analogy or a parallel example that our listener can understand?
Yeah, well, um, like making a sandwich. If I were to
Okay.
just say to you, make a sandwich, well, you have to break that down into every step required to make that sandwich. So,
Hmm.
get out the bread, put the bread down on the counter, put the peanut butter on the bread, put the jelly on the, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
You have to break that down into every step. And the computer's going to do exactly what you tell. So, a person would look at directions and be like, oh, he doesn't really mean that. He means this. Computer's going to look at directions and be like, okay, because it doesn't know what you mean. It knows, exactly what's written on that screen. And so, you
Right.
know,
So, in other words, a programming language would be a very blunt and a very direct. In other words, I guess a anecdote to illustrate it would be if you're writing programming language and you tell someone, "Hey, push your friend off that cliff," then the computer would definitely push you off the cliff.
yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't think about the ethical downsides, no pun intended,
Yeah,
about pushing someone off a cliff.
exactly.
That's really cool.
Computers are totally mindless. Yeah, they just do.
Well, I,
And
I would I would beg to I would beg to differ because as AI is able to pass, the MLE, right? I would say
Mhm.
that computers do have a mind. It may not be a being mind like that we as humans have known to love for millions of years, but I think
Right.
in another sense of it, in another stretch of the imagination, I think computer does and do have a mind of its own. Yes, maybe. Yeah. But do you think so or not really?
I don't think quite yet. I mean, maybe they will at some point. I think that there does come a point. I said about the genie being kind of out of the bottle. I mean, I don't know how far we're really going to take this. Like how far are we really willing to go? How far are we
Well, the
really willing to
answer,
go
well,
with
then
all
the
this
answer
stuff?
to that, well, if they're asking Aaron's Opinion TV or Aaron's Opinion the podcast, Aaron's Opinion, I would tell you, well, okay, stop. That's far enough. We've ruined enough people's lives already. That's enough.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
if you take it into the other, the other hand, the other way of perceiving it all, no, unfortunately, because we as human beings are curious and at other times belligerently ignorant.
Right.
No, we will never take. Sadly, we will never bite off more than we can chew. In other words, we will never say that's enough, and this is a
Right.
huge problem. And I genuinely have a problem with it because I think in some ways I think this technology that you love, I love, we love, it's here to help us. I
Right.
genuinely believe it in my heart.
Right.
But I think my personal opinion is I think that there are some understand what I'm saying that there are some people not going to point fingers or name names, but there are some people in every country all over the world that are on purpose learning how to use technology to be hurtful people. Now, that's
Hmm.
my opinion. What do we do about that? Well, I don't know. That's the next problem. But you
Yeah.
see, in other words, you view your glass of beer as being full, right? I view my beer as being half empty, right? Because I have very little faith in people. I assume my assumption is that people are bad and that people are going to make a mistake and be hurtful. And if I meet a great person named Chris, well, then that's fine. That's great. But
Right.
but the vast majority, I have a very low, I anticipate failure out of other people. I have very low
Right.
hopes for the majority. No, really, and it's nothing
Hmm.
personal. It's just I've seen, and I forget. I don't know if you're 31, my age, or if you're a little older, but I mean, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of problems.
Right. Right. No, I get it. I mean, that's the whole ethic of Christianity, right? Is that we're all sinners and we need Jesus Christ, and that
Right.
you know that that's my solution is that
So good.
everybody
So
you know
wonderful. Well, look, man,
but not everybody's gonna do that. I understand that, and I
well,
don't
no,
mean
no,
to.
no. No, you're no, really. You're clearly a good person, and you mean it
Hmm.
in the right way. Sure. Has religion been used to hurt people? Yeah, but so
Yeah.
is AI, right? So have computers.
Right.
So I mean, again, it's the same thing. A hurtful person's a hurtful person. It's just where they hurt.
Hmm.
It's just where they do it. But no, I appreciate that. I'm a Jewish guy.
Hmm.
I've been to Israel and all that, but I appreciate you speaking up about your love for God, your love for Jesus, and
Hmm.
that's so good. Blessings to you, man, because that's, you know what, that faith is what all people need.
Hmm.
We don't have to love one God the same way. Shabbat for me, some other day for you, right? We don't need the same
Right.
thing, but if all of us loved God a little bit more, just tiny bit, not all the way, not that better, but just tiny bit more. God,
Right.
gosh, that would help a lot. So thank you for wanting to talk to parents about that in the community. I support you in talking about that. I think it's great to talk about it. And I think it's also important to note that a lot of people with disabilities feel excluded from religious activities. And that's a
Hmm.
big deal for people, right? Talk about it.
Right.
Yeah. Tell me.
Yeah. I mean, because the church is made up of sinful people, like that's gonna happen. Um, my church isn't perfect. I mean, I'm lucky. Involved in a really good church. We teach the Bible and we really live it out. And it's a smaller church. I think that helps. Um, but it's still not perfect. I mean, we have Missions Month this month, and we have dinners after church for Missions Month, and it's the food's great and everything, but the noise level is so loud because everybody's in the one room, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that kind of excludes me. Nobody's really meaning to exclude me, but it's just with my hearing impairment, that noise level is just absolutely insane.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. I know. And I'm not hearing impaired. Okay. Actually, I did have to get my ears cleaned out yesterday, by the way. I had some wax buildup in there. But
okay.
yeah, that was my ears felt so much better. So it's important to take care of your ears, but very, very important. But no, I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm the same way. And you see, I'm also, as you can tell, I'm also like autistic, very mildly so, though. I'm like on
Hmm.
on, on the spectrum. So when I get into those social settings where like everybody's screaming, "Hey, how are you?" Hi, I can't
Yeah.
literally. I really shut down, and I'm someone that's not
Yeah.
hearing impaired at all. And I think that, as a blind person, I think that we as blind people struggle in those types of social situations where the sighted people are expecting us to be able to keep track of everything and are expecting us to be able to process all that extra stuff, and we just can't. I just can't. I don't know about
Hmm.
you.
Right.
It must be really hard if you're hearing impaired. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, it can be really difficult.
Yeah, yeah. But it's definitely difficult, in a lot of ways. So we have about as I say, these hours with amazing people like you and all the other amazing guests I've had. 60 minutes just flies, just zooms right through it. You have about another 10 minutes, and then I'm going to slow down the momentum of the conversation and walk us
Okay.
to a close. But before you lose me that quickly, um, I'm sure you have a lot of questions for me. I'm an overly open person, actually. So what are some things that you really want to know about this Aaron Richmond guy and Aaron's opinion? I mean, really, really make me sweat, man. Get right under my skin.
um, so how did you as a blind guy get on the blind parents list? I'm a little, I mean, do you kind of have an interest in the next generation like I do? Is that kind of where you're coming from or?
Well, that's a fair question. In other words, how did I get onto NOPBC? Because I'm not a parent. We
Yeah.
just the mutual connection. My mother's in the group. Actually, it was my mother who saw your post, and I never would have known if she hadn't spoken up. I never would have noticed. My
Okay.
mother, my mother saw the post and said, "Aaron, you got to talk to this Chris Westbrook guy. He's a YouTuber like you. Talk
Yeah.
to him. Get him up there." And I'd never heard of you before. Who's Chris Westbrook? Who's that? This is the problem, is that there are so many other people getting into the hobby that it's just impossible to keep it all straight. But no,
Right, right.
I have a lot. I mean, I have a lot of complex. I have a lot of complex feelings about
Hmm.
about NFB.
Hmm.
But they've helped. They're they're a wonderful organization, and they've helped me a lot in the past. It's a bit of a long story.
Hmm.
So I'm in a lot of their groups. Religiously speaking, am I in a great number of their groups? No, not really. But
Right.
I'm in that group, and that's how I got in there. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Yeah, I want to try to be so for somebody I didn't have any mentors growing up. Well, I mean, I had one when I was in high school, when I was a junior in high school. But I want to try to be, that's why I wanted to get into the parents. Well, I mean, that's why I've been in the parents group for a while, just kind of looking. But I finally decided I really wanted to post and really actually want to start creating some videos. And my hope is that I can get parents reaching out to me and
Yeah.
wanting, me to be a kind of a mentor to their kids or to them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't have that growing up, and I think that would have been really nice to have.
Yeah.
There was a blind kid in my school district growing up, so we were in a lot of the same classes. But it just would have been nice, I think, to have an older adult around who had been successful and
Mm-hmm.
and had a job and stuff like that. Not to say that
Yeah.
I'm above everybody else because I have a job, but
No, no.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
that is sort of the goal.
Right.
And I think
Right.
in this country, I think it's I realize the unemployment rate is still really high, although I wonder if it's really 70%. I mean, they've been saying that forever. Um, I wonder what the real
Aga
rate is. But
Well, again, I with your see, here's an interesting equation for you to solve, and I can't solve it. I don't have the skills you have, but you have some skills that I don't have. I might have some skills that you might not have. But the fact
but
is this: if you can look, here's a project. You figure out exactly how many blind people are not working that can be. And all of them need
right,
to be. But try to figure out how many of them are, genuinely not working. And then try to use your programming skills to develop some sort of system that helps to track them down, find them, and then
yeah,
and then connect them with the right people. So that's something you
right,
can do. Definitely, there's a way to do that. Now,
hmm,
the problem though is that if you're not working, you don't have enough confidence to reach out to other people. So then there's that
yeah,
and there's that
right,
the social stigmas and social barriers are quite severe right now in the community. Quite severe.
hmm,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. So that is quite a major hurdle, quite a major thing.
yeah.
But do you have any tremendous desire to get into podcasting to create an audio podcast for what you do?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I hadn't really thought about it that much. I'd thought about the whole YouTube thing, but I guess a podcast is just like YouTube, only in audio. So
Right.
I guess I
Right.
could do that too.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just think that.
What I've found with my stuff is that the audio goes to more countries than the YouTube, but the YouTube is a bigger audience. So you have two different
Hmm.
audiences: the people that watch you, and the people that listen to you, and those are two different audiences.
Hmm.
Yeah, usually the people that listen are the people that care a little bit more, and tend to be more educated on the topic that you're talking about. Whereas
Hmm.
YouTube, it's just you're just throwing it out there, and whoever sees it sees it. But
Right.
yeah, but that's kind of the difference. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm also curious about this. So how many other like blind YouTubers and podcasters have reached out to you, around the community?
You're the first one.
But I don't want to be. Thank you, but I don't want to be the first. Or well. I mean, I don't. What I meant was I do not mind being the first, but I do not want to
Right.
be the only.
You
I
don't want to be
wish
the
that
only
there
one.
were. I never want to be the only. I hope that you continue to connect with more people.
Hmm.
That would be my hope. Unfortunately, there's a lot of right now in the community, man. There's a lot of negativity. So
Hmm.
people have been very, down as we say, down in the dumps, or not, or
Yeah.
not feeling so good lately. And I don't know what it is, but generally this time of year, winter, is when people are not at their best, is what it seems like.
Right.
You
Right.
know? Generally summer is when people are really, are really doing well.
Right. Right.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Well, actually, I had an interview on a podcast called what is it?
See,
I can connect or something like that. It's a podcast the NFB of Pennsylvania puts out.
Oh
Um,
yes. Oh, he and I are great friends. Our great buddy David Goldstein, of course.
David Goldstein. Yeah. Oh,
Love him.
you know him well?
He's
Okay.
hilarious.
Yeah, he's
We
funny.
recorded. He and I recorded an episode a while back. Called. But you can
White
search for.
Canes Connect. That's what it's called. I couldn't
Well,
think
no,
of
no,
the name
no.
of the
Yes.
podcast.
No. So he has his own. So the White Canes Connect, that's the NFB Pennsylvania affiliate podcast,
Hmm.
but he has his own podcast called I Can't See You.
Okay.
It's like blindness. It's like blindness for dummies, and basically he walks through different. He is really good at what he does because he'll sit down in his
Hmm.
studio and just talk to himself for an hour, but he doesn't do guests too much on his I Can't See You one.
Right.
But he'll sit down and talk to himself and just the way he's hilarious. Just the way he tells stories are so serious and so cute and so like so he's had a positive effect on my life, and he's David
Hmm.
Goldstein helps is such a great help in our community. We need more David Goldsteins. We need more I Can't See Yous.
Hmm.
And then I recorded, and then he came to my show, and the episode that you can watch for that one is called Two Blinks One Episode. It's
Oh,
making
okay.
Two Blinks. It's making fun of the fact that when David was in a hospital one day, and he was going in for surgery or some eye procedure, some guy apparently asked him to sit down, and David apparently replied, "No, I'm fine. I can walk." And then the guy said, "No, no, you need to sit down because you're a blink." And and
Oh,
David
geez.
and then we were laughing circling. He's like, what on earth's a blink? Well, like,
Yeah.
what's a blink? I've never heard of that. I guess it
Yeah.
means a blind person, I guess.
I guess. Yeah.
But there's a whole like hysterical. I mean, I'm laughing that you're gonna just go to the channel or podcast. You can go Two
Yeah.
Blinks. The title is Two Blinks One Episode. I mean, I was falling out of my chair laughing so hard. Even more
Hmm.
hysterically, I knew another guy with a very similar name to David Goldstein. David Goldstein, and I thought that when I was talking to David Goldstein, I was talking to the other guy. So
Oh,
then
geez.
so I started interviewing someone thinking they were someone else to only find that they were David Goldstein. So there's like that whole joke about that, and I was laughing really hard about that too. It was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
he is
No,
a
he's great.
he's a character.
Yeah.
He's a strap yourself in for takeoff. He's an experience.
Yeah, he is.
But I'm glad that you enjoy that one. I'm glad that they're doing their good content. You know, that's good for them.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
we need more of that, and I think NFBPA is a good affiliate. You know, I think they're doing a great job, and I would hope that they all are doing a great job. But there's definitely a spectrum. You know,
Hmm.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Well, what are some other questions that you really want to ask me? You know, a lot of guests have burning questions that they really want to know about. You know, me as a person and things like that.
Oh boy. So what do you do for a day job? I think you said you were an English teacher. That's kind of cool.
That's what I do.
Like at what level? Like college level or high
Um,
school level or
well, it's teaching. So it's teaching English as a second language. So
okay.
usually I'm dealing with adult students from all over the world. So I've been using my voice to educate people and to speak publicly
Hmm.
for a long time. And I've been given this voice. I like to think that God might have given me this voice for a reason, right? Not
Hmm.
everybody has a voice for it, and not everybody has control of their vocal cords so much as I do. And I mean, some people just,
Hmm.
it's nothing personal. Some people don't have the voice, or
Yeah.
as we say
Yeah.
in the radio business, some people don't have the face for radio.
Right.
But for some reason, God gave me this voice. So that's what I do. And then, of course, because I create content, well, then if I'm not creating, I'm spending an enormous amount of time watching the other podcasts and learning from the other people in the industry and watching,
Hmm.
listening to podcasts and things like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's what I do in my free time. And now, what about you?
Yeah, well, I'm an accessibility engineer by
No.
day,
I
and
know
then
that. What I meant was, what do you do in your free time?
what I do in my free time.
Yeah.
Well, I do a lot with my church.
Good.
Wednesdays I go to a Bible study, and then
Good.
Sundays I go to church, and then
Beautiful.
um, I've been studying. I have a couple of certifications. Well, a certification that I'd like to get that I'm studying for, and
And what is that? Now, what is that certification?
it's called Trusted Tester. It's put out by the Department of Homeland Security
Oh, okay.
For testing websites for accessibility.
Right. Right.
It's actually free. As a blind person, you'll need some sighted help if you're going to do it, which thankfully I can get that through my work. But, if you're not living with somebody or whatever, they don't necessarily need to know how to use a computer or know what they're doing. But like, that part of the test is, looking for color contrast issues and looking for things like that we as blind people just can't do.
Right. Absolutely.
But it's a good certification to have.
Cool, man.
And I've been slowly working my way towards that. And I want to start doing more of this YouTube stuff in my free time.
All power to you, man. All cylinders forward for you, and I support everything you do. You're doing a magnificent job. If someone wants to get in touch with you, how would they do that, by the way?
They can text me at 570-506-4760. They can email me at westbchris@gmail.com. That's WESTBCHRIS@gmail.com. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me.
Cool, man. All right, well, don't move, don't hang up. But that concludes another audio episode of Aaron's Opinion with our great friend here, Chris Westbrook. You're doing great stuff in the community, and I only see good things for you. So more power to you. Stay safe out there, everybody, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place. As I say here on Aaron's Opinion. By the way, how do I end an episode?
Help one person today, help 1 million people tomorrow.
Oh my God, you nailed that. I got it. I timed it. I turned off the record. I timed it perfectly. Man, you're good. We got to get you on the circuit, man. Man, you're good. Cool. All right, man. Well, look, let me just go over here. I'm just purely, now we're just gonna, I'm just pure curiosity.
Sure.
Pure curiosity. Nope, it won't let me see it. Anyway, all right. Well, look, here, let me just go over here. Whoops. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yep, I'm here.
So I will certainly add you to the WhatsApp group, and we will definitely keep in touch. All right.
Sure.
Okay. I'll send you. Let's connect over WhatsApp. But I want to get off this particular stream right now. So I'll send you over to WhatsApp a little later. And thank you so much. All right, everybody.
Yep.
So thanks so much for watching Aaron's Opinion TV. Don't forget, like, comment, share, subscribe. All those things would help. Like it if you like it. And